Welcome, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Friday, May 9th, 2025. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? First two cards in our 5-card spread. We got one out. Come on. Oh, these cards are being resistant today. What's going on? 3 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 7 of Cups in its upright. This is interesting because I want to talk a little bit about this here. This is I keep on seeing there's a lot of, I want to describe what I'm seeing right now as, and I'm not surprised to see it. There's a lot of energy that we're experiencing right now that has to do with working on, I keep on hearing, it's the heart opening that allows for an energetic recall is what I keep getting. The heart opening that allows for an energetic recall. I'm not surprised to see this right now because I noticed something a little interesting that was happening yesterday. And I feel like the reason that we saw that is basically Mercury passed over Chiron, right? Mercury is like making a beeline right now towards Taurus. And yesterday we were going through a lot of working through pain. But I keep on hearing, it's like it's like a lot of the messages it says when we're not afraid of navigating pain, we're able to ease pressure. Is what I keep on hearing. When we're able to when we're able to navigate something that is energetically painful, we're able to ease pressure. And the reason that we see that to a certain extent, it has to do with a lot of the conversations that we've been having in relationality to heart openings. Because, one of the things that we keep on seeing, like one of the major lessons that keeps on happening right now, and I'm not surprised to have it again during Taurus season, is conversations between a stoic heart and a stone heart. And the disambiguation that I keep on seeing that's happening is the misconception that just because someone looks like they don't have energetic feelings, right? It's the space of understanding that stoicism isn't about disassociating from feelings. It's not about trying to become a block of wood. It's not about trying to become an energetic stone. We literally have like whole stories in the culture that created stoicism about not turning into stone. Okay, it's like not turning into stone. Stoicism is about being able to. Stoicism is elastic. Stoicism is understanding the elasticity of an organ, the ability of moving, the flexibility, and we talk. And the thing about flexibility is often when we work through it, we have to push through, right? We have to have those moments of utilizing something, and sometimes it's energetically painful, but it's the pain, right? It's working through the energetic pain that is indicative of the fact that we're getting stronger in something, right? And this is exactly the type of work that we're going to be seeing right now with a Taurus season with Mars in Leo, right? It's working through. I keep on hearing like the good pain, because I keep on hearing like the good pain is the pain of understanding the fact that you feel something strongly, because it indicates the fact that it has meaning to you, that it is important, that is energetically viable and valuable. This is oppositional to the bitterness that we carry, because we talked a lot about the fact that bitter energy is stagnation. Bitter energy happens when we when we dwell, right? When we dwell on something, we become bitter, right? It's a lot of that, it's like working in that space that creates that stagnancy. And that's why I keep on hearing like a lot of the lessons that we're navigating right now is working on turning bitter into better, right? It's literally like the work that we do when we heal is like, this is what we talk about. And here's the thing, when you're on a healing journey, it's not the fact that you don't carry bitterness, right? We talk about the fact here that we don't exist in a righteous space. Working into healing is not about being perfect. It's about doing the work. It's about doing the work. It's about stretching and flexing those energetic muscles. It's about identifying what we need to work on, right? It's like, and that's why I keep on describing the fact that this Scorpio full moon is going to hit people in different ways because, and again, if you're welcoming, right? If you're working to welcome a lot of that energetic change, if you're identifying and recognizing what it is that you're trying to do, then it feels, when you see that evidence of it, it feels like the point of understanding and honoring the journey of the self that helps you recognize what you're trying to do energetically better, right? It's working in that context of, adaptability. But that's why I'm also seeing that there may be a lot of, I want to describe this too, like also a lot of things might be coming up, is what I'm seeing right now with this Scorpio full moon, in order to identify like what is resolved, like what is being energetically resolved versus something that isn't energetically changing. And this is a continuation of what we've been seeing, center card for today's spread, across the frequencies. Yeah, because and there's something really important, and I want to just bring this up too. And I'm not surprised to see this here because there's a lot of work that's happening right now as it relates to Libra. What happens when we hold on too much to the past, right? When we hold on too much to the past, it comes to us in the form of regret, right? Often when we have that regret, it almost feels like, we're collapsing under the weight of the energetic regret that we're feeling, because, the thing about regret is it allows us to identify and recognize what it is that we're doing in the present, what it is we can change, right? We don't carry regret. Like I keep on hearing, we don't beat ourselves up. We're not supposed to beat ourselves up with regret. We're supposed to learn from it. It's supposed to inform us. This is how we find the pathwork to wisdom. None of us are energetically perfect, but in that space that we find the capability of forgiving ourselves and identifying what it is that we can do energetically better. It's not that we don't carry that sadness, but we allow ourselves to be in a space that the energy of the present is our apology for the past grievances, right? We talked a lot about this a few months ago, the pain that becomes the energetic altar, right? And why do we talk about the pain that becomes the energetic altar? Because the pain changes us, right? It recognizes, it identifies, and it works in that context of identifying and recognizing where the work is. And that's hard, right? And I keep on hearing like a lot of, that's why I keep on seeing that a lot of this Mars and Leo, a lot of heartfelt conversations right now. And I'm even seeing this for a lot of the energy in separation. I just keep on hearing some energy saying, let's just get over with it. And I got to point this out, like I can see some energy. Remember when I talked about the fact that the energy right now in separation is very much in magician energy, because this is not energy that is waiting to have a hard conversation. This is not energy that is working in the context of hoping that they're in alignment about something. This is energy just going right, like I keep on seeing, like this is energy just going right to the heart of a matter, potentially even starting relationships in the space of where another relationship ended. Because remember, we talked a little bit about the fact that there's a lot of energy right now healing from situations or circumstances where they discovered egoic aversion in counterpart, right? That space of waiting for something to build either into a point of consistency or a downright refusal to talk about something that is often indicative of the blind spot in the self, right? Just trying to again, if I ignore it, it'll go away kind of thing. So this is why I keep on seeing that a lot of that energy is not, I want to say, they're not going easy on each other. And I need to point this out. You'll remember this is the same message we saw that was happening deep within Divine Union just a few weeks, like literally just a couple of days ago, because we do have a little bit of planetary alignment that's happening. So things are moving up and down the frequencies a little bit easier. So this is the energy that is like, I just keep on seeing. They're not waiting to have that hard conversation. They're just starting. That is no longer the last conversation they're having. That is the first conversation they're having. Because this is the energy that's, again, working on healing from the illusion of rejection, not trying to, like, their manifestations that don't feel like you ease. I keep on hearing you don't ease someone into a manifestation. You just recognize and identify whether you're on the same page. And that's why this is magician energies. It says better to identify if we're on the same page now than to get to than to get to like chapter 4 and then suddenly realize that we're moving in completely different directions. So I keep on seeing that this is hard for the ego, but it's good for the soul, is what I keep on hearing. Hard for the ego, good for the soul. There's a lot of that, like, working through the adaptability point. And this brings us to a lot of the energy right now coming into divine union. Can I get two cards to clarify? Hold on. We've got, there it is again. Knight of Cups in its reversal, in combination with our King of Swords in its reversal. Now, we got to talk about this because this is interesting. It's having, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is what I keep on hearing is happening, because I keep on getting, and this is very similar to the message. This is all about us coming into Gemini right now. Hold on a minute. Let me just check something. Yeah, so you'll recall a few days ago that this is the energy that is, these are the chariot partnerships that have been moving deeper into divine union. And this is the energy that is having a breakthrough where once there was a breakdown. Having a breakthrough where once there was a breakdown. And what is the difference between a breakthrough and a breakdown? A breakthrough is a breakdown you talk through. It's the ability to talk through something instead of react to it. So the ability of the energy to be able to articulate through something that used to create a breakdown in the self. This is the energy that is disassembling in order to assemble. Like, this is the energy that is like, I just keep on seeing that this is the energy that is like, has triggered some kind of new healing for themselves. Because this is the energy that says, like, even if that space happens, saying, I've never talked about this before. This is almost the counterpart saying, you've never talked about it before because you used to just live it, right? It's like, you're no longer in a space that you have to react to it. You're safe here. I told you, it's all sanctuary energy right now for the energy coming into divine union. And a lot of that, I keep on hearing, like, a lot of that, like, what do we do? Like, I see that that's a lot of the energy that is healing intimacy wounds in the process of articulating through a lot of that work. Now, this brings us to a lot of the energy, right? And it is having a different impact on feminine and masculine energy. For feminine, I'm seeing, bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to, it is the recognition that you can't convince someone to energetically prioritize you, is what I keep on seeing. This is a lot of the energy that's working through the context or the concept of feeling someone giving them that space of consistency. This is a lot of the energy of the feminine understanding and recognizing that consistency is not cultivated, it's found. While for masculine, this is a lot of the masculine energy that's going through that space or place of recognizing and identifying and coming into integration of their feelings, building into a relationship with feminine that is in a space of being healed with their own emotionality, so they don't take it personally when the masculine communicates their needs, right? They don't take it as an overcorrection, right? The ability to talk about something that allows the masculine to begin to heal the inner child wounds. So that's where we see that this is why it feels like sanctuary energy. Because for masculine, this is the masculine that looks to feminine and says, never have I felt so safe in the embrace of an energy where I can articulate my feelings and you don't take them personally. You hold me through that embrace instead of reacting to it. And via the feminine that says, never have I felt more safe than recognizing and identifying and feeling the space of what it takes, feeling the energetic constant force, the gift that the masculine gives feminine with their constancy. That is the highest demarcation point of love, because in constancy we create security and stability for one another. While continuing to get clarification between our 3 of Cups and its reversal in combination with our 7 of Cups and its upright. May I please get one card to clarify? Wow. We've got, it's an emotional heavy day here. We've got 6 of Swords in combination with 6 of Cups in its upright. But I think that there's something about this here that feels, I want to describe it as, it's a cathartic day. There's something really important about navigating that space of energetic catharsis. Because something I'm seeing in relationality to catharsis is working in the concept of recognizing and identifying. And I just keep on seeing this. Like there's something, there's very much, there's something really important that's happening right now for energy deep within divine union. I told you it's starting to move out of, it's starting to move out of temperance and moving more into like, I feel like it's embracing the energy of the Scorpio full moon. Because one of the things that we understand with Scorpio journeys is recognizing the significance of carrying something and seeing the way that it changes over time. Meaning is not just defined in the valuation point of something. Sometimes we can't see and understand the meaning of something until we arrive at the right point. And so I keep on seeing that a lot of the energy deep within divine union is going through that process of looking back upon the past and seeing something that they couldn't see before, right? It's that space of contemplation wherein, one understands and recognizes that I keep on seeing that one's point of view has changed. One's perception of something has changed. And I keep on hearing there's something energetically sacred that's occurring in that space, because this is why I keep on seeing that there's a lot of that articulation point in relationality to building upon the pathwork of patience, because it's appreciating, and I keep on hearing, this is the energy that's charting each other's progress. And if this is the energy that gets mad at themselves for going too slow, the correction point of the counterpart is such that they are able to articulate to one another and reaffirm the fact that they are in fact making it. Continuing to get clarification between our 7 of Cups in combination with our 6 of Swords in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification. Come on, these cards are like so resistant today. Clarification coming through right now with our 9 of Pentacles in its upright. I absolutely love to see the 9 of Pentacles here. And we've got a lot of 9 energy on the table right now, because we've got the 9 of Cups here as well. There's something really, I keep on seeing that there's something very important in relationality to, it feels like, it feels like a slow, energetic day. And I'm not surprised to see some of that slowness, because what we're kind of identifying here is like Mercury, Mercury is preparing to move into Taurus. And the thing is, Mercury doesn't like being in Taurus, because Mercury is very fast energy. Like Mercury is wants to fly through. And Taurus is very dense energy. And so it's giving a lot of It's giving a lot of slow and steady is what I'm getting. It's getting a lot. It's giving a lot of slow and steady because it's like it's working it's working into the articulation of how do I describe this? Of, like I said, like charting one's own progress, building into the context of taking one's time, but also being very energetically consistent in relationality to applying pressure to things. And that's what I keep on, like, that's what I meant about, and we talked a little bit about this here. The difference between, how do I describe this? It's interesting because it's giving me a little bit of like perfect pitch energy. And the reason I keep on getting the fact that it's perfect pitch energy is, and it's interesting too, because I need to describe the fact that when I say pitch, I don't mean pitch, like I do mean both. Not pitch in the act of throwing, but in the space of pitch as it relates to something that is energetically thick. And, when you're trying to move through something that is heavy and thick, you can't rush through it because the force of your own weight will knock you back against it. But you have to kind of work in a context of pushing through something where you give something force, but you're also very steady in that force. So there's a lot of that type of energy right now. And a lot of it is working through frustration. It's building into the context of being patient with the self, because I keep on seeing that when we're patient with ourselves, right, and we persevere, right, through our own limitations, through our own fears, we often have a breakthrough because we find the ability to get through the other side of something. But this is important too, because this has a lot to do with the Pluto in retrograde energy that we're discussing right now, which is going to be around for like a bit of time, continuing to get clarification between our Six of Swords in combination with our Knight of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, let's talk about this a little bit, because something that I'm seeing here that's, one of the things I'm seeing that I think is very interesting, it has to do in the context of recognizing and identifying, and it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Now, the thing that we're talking about a lot with the Scorpio full moon that we're moving into right now is, and we've talked a lot about this over the last few weeks as well, especially during that eclipse retrograde period that we went through. It's not about being perfect. It's about identifying and recognizing where the work is, right? And so that's why I keep on seeing that across the frequencies right now, I keep on saying there's a lot of acceptance that is happening in relationality to identifying one's vulnerabilities, but not leaning on them, is what I keep on seeing. Because I keep on, like, the space that we work on this is understanding that we identify weaknesses in order to energetically strengthen something, right? The ability to articulate upon something that we're working on doesn't create the space of stating that it creates that volatility point in relationality to what it is that we're like. It doesn't create a regression point. It's actually, I keep on getting, a weakness is a place that you put extra work in, is what I keep on seeing. Right? Like, a weakness is a space that you put extra work in. So when you identify a weakness and you're working on the self, you're constantly in that calibration point of doing so. And this is what I meant as it relates to working through the context of this full moon in Scorpio. So when we're working in that space and we're identifying something that we're trying to work on, it feels fortifying, right? Because it's almost that space of saying like you're getting stronger in something because you're identifying and you're talking through where the work is. So I keep on hearing a lot of these relationships that are happening right now. The partners, this is why I keep on describing it as magician energy, because they're having conversations on the things they're working on that aren't easy for them, right? They're like immediately addressing the vulnerabilities, getting them out of the way, almost like in a space of articulating and again, talking through them instead of reacting to them, that allows them to begin to heal them. And for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, I think it's really interesting because I keep on hearing it's an excuse-free zone. Why is it this is why it is a sanctuary. The energy coming into divine union right now is an excuse-free zone, because it's an excuse-free zone because this is the energy that is, and I keep on hearing the energy is working through something. They're talking about something. They're apologizing, right? They're apologizing for something that they're energetically carrying. And what is the counterpart saying? You have nothing to apologize for, because this is the energy that says if you are articulating through something that occurred in the past that feels like it's getting triggered because you found stability instead of reacting to it, you're already healing from it. And that's why the energy says you have nothing to excuse, because you're not doing anything inexcusable in articulating about what it is that you're energetically carrying. And for the energy deep within divine union, this is why what's interesting right now is for the energy deep within divine union, the energy deep within the divine union operates in the commitment that they give to each other is being in an excuse-free zone, because you'll understand and recognize that we talked a lot about the fact that the energy deep within divine union works towards the sacred breath of patience, right? And when we're building into the sacred breath of patience, it's not that space where, again, what happens when we feel like we're looking for an energetic excuse? We're constantly apologizing for the same thing over and over and over again, but then we never change it. This often creates the exhaustiveness in relationships, because sometimes it feels like our pleas for progress fall upon deaf ears, right? This can often create fracture points in relationships. But when we are building into the sacred breath of partnership, the articulation of something that is needed, that is met with the force of active change. It doesn't have to be exceptional. It just has to be incremental. And this is the energy that says to one another, kind, but never nice, because they say to one another that work, right, pushing into the expansion point, is never one that feels like a point of stagnancy. They never lean on one another because of their vulnerabilities. They become stronger to support one another, because in that space of becoming energetically supportive, they become stronger together. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Cups in its reversal in combination with our King of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Seven of Swords in its relationship. Seven of Swords in its upright. This is important work that we're seeing here. And the reason that it's important work, and I keep on seeing this, there's like the thing about some of this Pluto in retrograde, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be all about healing intimacy wounds. And here's the thing about it. Healing intimacy wounds feels gross. It's the worst. Okay? It feels like it's the worst. Okay? Because when we're healing intimacy wounds, we're healing spaces of intimacy where trauma occurred. And often when we have to heal intimacy wounds, we have to go back into the spaces where the wounds occurred in order to reclaim something back for ourselves. Aries is going to hate this. Those with Aries placements are going to they're really going to, you're just not like this. It's fine. It's going to be fine, because here's the thing. Because a lot of that space, and we talk a little bit about this, right? It's working through it's working through the space of, and I want to, it says to me like it's a lot of that identification point of articulating upon, you know, something that we don't like versus something that we energetically like do not condone is what I keep on seeing. And the reason that we're seeing that to a certain extent has to do with working through the context of understanding the self. And it has a lot to do with like navigating your cringe. We talk about this here, right? We talk about the space that when you're healing intimacy wounds, the reason we say that is we say that we're cringe, but we're free. We're cringe, but we're free because, you know, we recognize our own cringe. We don't shy away from our cringe. We come to try to understand it further. We navigate the self with a space of the desire to understand the self. Because when our ability to understand ourselves demarcates the capacity of us being energetically safe for those around us. Because that level or degree of safety, like that ability of being able to identify the self, that basically indicates that we don't have any energetic blind spots within the self, right? And never are we most in a point of difficulty or adversity when there's something within ourselves that we avoid, because we've talked a lot about the fact that when you avoid something, you usually run smack dab in the middle of it. Okay, like it's like it's like I only take left turns, right? Like it's like that's great. You only take left turns. That means you're going to be in an energetic circle, right? So it's working in that space of and again, when we're when we're in the space of trying to build into the self, of understanding the self further, this is why we don't move away from things that we're energetically averse to. We lean towards them in order to try to understand them better, right? Because often when we push out of our comfort zone, and this is the work of Libra. This is Libra lessons. When we push out of our comfort zone, what do we sometimes find there? Balance. We sometimes find balance, right? Right? Preference is imbalance. Balance is balance. And in order to understand balance, right, we have to work to understand the difference between what we prefer versus what is energetically possible, right? And so that's why I keep on seeing that like a lot of this energy right now, it feels a little bit like arm wrestling, because it's working in the space of pushing against something, but doing so in a way that it allows for, again, a breakthrough instead of a breakdown, right? Like building into the point of feeling like it's strengthening the self in the process, something that is challenging but energetically reaffirming. And so that's what I'm going to say right now. If you're in that kind of space, then this will probably be a good full moon for you, right? Because it'll feel fortifying to that. If you're more in the space that you're like more in that place of trying to avoid that, then it may feel like more energetically, like that is where this type of energy could feel a little bit more intense, right? Because we talked a little bit about the fact of being able to, you know, welcome like change being constant is the change that we welcome into our life, because we allow for that point of expansion rather than trying to like hold on to something and be like, nothing can change all the time. Okay. Continuing to get clarification. And this is why it's a little bit harder right now, because Taurus and change is like clarification between our 9 of Cups in combination with our 9 of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify. Knight of Wands in its reversal. So, and this is the thing, like, and this is what's beautiful, right? What happens when we stop pretending that we're perfect? We become we start to be able to perfect ourselves, right? When we stop pretending that we're perfect and we identify where the work is, then not only is that a gift that we give to ourselves, but we give it to the gift of everybody around us. It's just like, it is the gift. Like you have my ability to change is also evidence in your ability to change. It's the gift of change that we welcome, because it's the identification of allowing for that point of adaptability. Here comes Gemini season, right? Like here comes like, We're going to be going through a lot of this with Geminis. These are Gemini lessons. What do you need? How can I be of assistance? Right? It's not building that space of being like, no, you're wrong. It's not, no, it's like, it's finding the yes, right? It's working towards finding the yes. It's working towards understanding like where that is, right? And that's the thing. And a lot of this right now, maybe, and I keep on hearing, it's not about letting go of the ego entirely. It's finding the ego that you feel energetically proud of. This is my buddy. This is my pal. You know, where I go, they go, right? It's building into that space of being energetically appreciative and adaptable. And, you know, and across the frequencies right now, it's having a different impact. And I think that there's something very beautiful right now that's happening for a lot of these new relationships that are starting right now, these magician partnerships, because this is the energy. Again, what are the magicians saying to one another? They're not perfect. They're working on it, right? Like they're saying, I'm not perfect. They're saying to one another, I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it. And this is my energetic assignment, right? Like this is my assignment. And the ability, the minute that one says, I'm not perfect, but I'm working on it, this is the energy that recognizes another that sees their assignment. And that's not someone who looks at the world with a point of distaste and says, I'm perfect. Everyone else around me is like garbage. Like, that's moving away from the path of righteousness that says, I am perfect. You guys all stink. It's like, it's not throwing your nose up to existence. It's feeling that adaptability point that says, I understand. Like when you're on the healthy spiritual path, you don't say you're perfect. You say, I understand my assignment. It's like, and you're not afraid to get your energetic hands dirty. Welcome to the Pluto in retrograde. And so for energy coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, you know, I keep on hearing the energy that's just saying thank you to one another. Because there's something about that conversation. The ability of someone trying to apologize for something that they're feeling, that they're talking through instead of reacting to. And the energy that says no excuses, which says, but saying no excuses, saying you have nothing to apologize for. You've done nothing that is excusable beyond having a past that you're healing from. This is the energy that says to one another, thank you, because I finally feel seen, right? When we see someone that sees the pain that we're carrying, when we see someone who understands the fact that we're not projecting that pain, but also understanding that we're doing the work, we're doing everything in us, right? We're pulling on the reins, right? This is why these are chariot relationships right now. And this is why they're feeling like they're having a breakthrough instead of a breakdown, because instead of reacting to something, they're pulling on the reins of the self. And that's the difficult part about a heart opening, is when you're healing from trauma, you want to react to what's coming out, but instead they pull the reins. They say, whoa, Nelly, on how they want to react to a situation. They say, I'm sorry. This is how I typically would have responded to that. I'm working on it. And the energy says, you have nothing to apologize for because you talked through it instead of reacted to it. You don't need to apologize for something that you used to do. You're already energetically healing from it. And that's the energy that says to one another, look, it doesn't require you to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have those moments that you like feel energetically triggered or you energetically slip. But the ability to feel a moment of saying, I'm sorry, I slipped, versus someone being like, that was your whole existence. This is what we talk about charting progress, because a healthy space allows the ability to understand that when you're learning to do something differently, you're not going to be energetically perfect every moment. You're going to have those moments that, you know, it's like it's working in that context. I keep on hearing a slip is not a stumble because you can get back up again. Like a slip is not a stumble because a slip it doesn't create a tumble because you can get back up again. So that space of basically saying like, this is not This isn't like you, this is you working through something. And this is the energy that said, if you just went through something that used to devastate you, but now you're just being able to articulate through, congratulations, because you're actively healing from it. While continuing for the energy deep within divine union between our 9 of Pentacles in its upright in combination with our Queen of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify. There it is. We've got that Magician in its reversal. That card's been popping up like hot cakes recently. And they've been making an appearance. We had them in yesterday's reading as well, I believe. If not yesterday, the day before. But, you know, one of the things that we're seeing here is, you know, and I have to stress this, for the energy deep within divine union, I want to say that there's something very beautiful that I'm seeing in relationality to articulating and trying. I keep on hearing like a focus on healing. And here's the thing, like, and this is the, and like there's something like I keep on seeing that, you know, when we talk about the space of, and this is when, and this is why I keep on hearing it's a conversation about the difference between bitterness and adaptability, right? Because when we're energetically bitter, and this is why the bitterness we carry doesn't serve us, it only hurts us. Because when we're traumatized, someone else does it to us. When we're bitter, we choose to carry it ourselves. And that's why I keep on hearing that this is the energy that works towards the space of identifying and recognizing and saying to them, like working in that identification point of, like, even if they're carrying energetic bitterness towards something, they're saying, how can I make it better? Right? What can I do to energetically heal that? What can I do in energetic accordance to it? Because that ability of doing so, like, that is the energy that understands that the gift that we have in terms of healing bitterness is not just something that we do for ourselves, but we do for everyone around us, right? That is the energy of working in the context of, like, not, I keep on saying, not being like, and I keep on getting the same message, which is the fact that says compassion doesn't mean that you have to accept everything, right? It doesn't require you to stay in situations that are not energetically healthy and supportive, because it understands, and this is why we talked about the energy being in temperance, because it has to do with recognizing that alignment is feeling that the energy around you is in accordance with what you are also trying to do. This is why we talk about the fact that you can't walk into a situation where everyone's being energetically bitter and try to heal something, right? Because it's like, you know, it's reminding me, you know, it's a space or the identification point of understanding that we can only heal something proportional to the adaptability and recognition of the energy around us. And while we can have that moment of allowing the opportunity for another to meet us in that capacity, our ability to understand and recognize, you know, whether that feels like it's appreciated, allows us to move something into the directionality where it feels like it'll be celebrated. And that's why we talk about the fact that sometimes healing from some trauma is about a proximity issue. It's just moving away from something because this is why I keep on seeing that a lot of the work that's happening right now as it relates to navigating bitterness or working through the bitterness that potentially energy deep within divine union is carrying is articulating and recognizing the possibility of healing something, whether it's an inside problem, right? Whether that's something that can be healed from within in terms of how to carry it, or if it's something that is happening outside of the self, something that is not necessarily something that can be navigated, but right, something that either needs to be adjusted or accommodated, moved towards, moved away from. There's a lot of that. And that's the beauty of the healthy connection, because it basically articulates like what it feels like what that is and how I keep on hearing anything can be healed. It's about how the healing is applied. Continuing to get clarification between our Queen of Pentacles in combination with our Seven of Swords in its upright. May I have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Page of Cups energy in its upright. So I gotta stress this right now. And I gotta point out this Page of Cups we had in our reading yesterday as well. And I think that it's in relationality to Pisces right now. There's something about coming into a space of emotional resolution is what I keep on seeing. And I feel like in that way, like there's something about this Scorpio full moon that is helping to recognize what feels like it is restorative, what feels like there is something there that can energetically change versus those spaces or places that feel like they've remained the same. Like that is, I keep on seeing one of the challenging spaces of this full moon, right? And I'm not surprised to see it too, because we talked about the fact that it occurred, like the Scorpio full moon in Taurus season, it's challenging. But this is also a lot of the work that those with Taurus placements come to work through. It's understanding that the ability to have an energetic breakthrough is not being frustrated, not feeling frustration and jumping away from it or charging at a situation, right? But rather the ability to be energetically consistent, to not allow oneself to feel that force, but instead to work into the context of identifying and recognizing and being adaptable. This is where the healing comes through. Because when we are triggered by frustration, then we are at the behest of the frustration, right? Like that is like we serve the force of frustration when we're reactive through it. But this is what we talk about in the lessons that we identify about working through non-attachment. Remembering that non-attachment isn't about going cold. It's not about going numb. It's not about being in a space of saying, I don't care. I don't care. Like that's often when someone says they don't care, and we've all seen this. When someone says they don't care, never has someone sounded more bitter. Right? Like never has someone sounded more bitter than when they say, I don't care, because it often feels like the ambiguation point of someone saying, I'm forcing myself not to care. Right? It's that moment that feels like, it's like, I keep on saying it's the non-attachment that creates bitterness that often feels like it's the articulation of righteousness, right? Non-attachment isn't about caring. It's about caring a lot. It's about not allowing oneself to feel the weight of the frustration as it relates to moving in accordance with the determination of being able to find the perseverance to move something in alignment with what you care about. And that's so difficult, right? Because that's the point of frustration that doesn't create a point of aversion, right? That's not the spirituality that says, la, 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 I'm perfect, everything else is terrible. It's identifying and saying, this is where the work begins. This is where it energetically matters. This is moving something in accordance to it. It's the activation of the energetic point of frustration, not the aversion from it. Continuing, and that's happening across all of the frequencies. Continuing to get clarification between our Knight of Wands in its reversal and our Magician in its reversal. May I have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. There she is. I like to see her. I like to see her. Queen of Swords and it's upright. Queen of Swords and it's upright. And it's interesting too, because we've got masculine and feminine energy on the table right now, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. And again, this is asynchronous lessons that are happening in different ways. And why are we talking about that? Because when we're going through the journey of the Stoic heart, it requires a lot of that returning here. For masculine, this feels like a lot of retrieval. This feels like a lot of emotional retrieval. If this is masculine energy that felt like they had to abandon emotions, right, in order to move towards masculinity, this is the understanding that when we say put away childish things, emotions are not childish. It's more of the space of understanding that we have to treat our emotions like children, right? We have to treat our emotions like children because we've got the good emotions. Like the emotions want things. And just like an energetic child, right? When the emotions want things, it's not just serving what the need of the emotions are. Because sometimes, much like a child will come towards you and be like, I need a sandwich. And you're like, you need a sandwich. That's true. I can get you a sandwich, right? And sometimes the energetic child comes up and goes, I need about 4 sticks of dynamite and some matches. And you go, wait, what? Come back here. No, come back. Come back here. Let's roll back the tape here. What did you say you needed? Because that ability of understanding, we guide our emotions. We shepherd our emotions into the space that is energetically important. We move them into the space. What feels good and what is good. And we understand and we recognize what feels like it serves the higher self, what moves us in accordance to it, versus is like, you know what I mean? Like, versus the volatility that sometimes feels good, but doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's energetically restorative in direction. So the things that we do, it's the identification point of what feels good and what is good, right? While for feminine energy, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the feminine energy, this is about working into the space of understanding that compassion is not exclusive to the self. That compassion does not mean that you have to give all of yourself to everything. It's being able to move in accordance with the identification of who you aspire to be and who you energetically are. And so I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the feminine energy, that's working in the space of trying to build into that sense of not energetically overgiving to things. It's the compassion. It's like the resiliency of I keep on hearing the resiliency of lasting compassion is not the space of giving everything, but working in accordance to what is energetically possible. So for a lot of the feminine energy, this is feeling more stronger in the self, while for masculine, this is coming back into connection almost with like a very past or early version of self, right? Healing the inner child. So feminine is protecting the inner child, right? And masculine is healing, is retrieving the inner child. Continuing to get clarification between the Magician card in its reversal in combination with our Page of Cups in its upright. Strength card in its reversal. So, and this is the thing, and I got to tell you guys, this is just the thing about when I read. Reversals are not necessarily bad things. Reversals are not necessarily bad things because you have to understand that some cards are actually better in reversal. And one of the things I love to see is a strength card in its reversal because they're conversations about vulnerability. It's talking towards the identification of true strength. And true strength is not just the strength that feels like it puffs up the feathers. It's not just the strength that feels like it builds into the point of affirmation. It's the strength of identifying and recognizing where the work begins. And that's hard, right? It's the addressing of the vulnerabilities. Often, again, I keep on getting the message that often when we're working, the irony of strength is often when you're being your strongest, you're constantly perseverating over the fact of whether you're doing it right. Right? These are all these are all Aries lessons. Because Aries, I need to point out, the beauty of Aries when they arrive is a lot of the lessons that we see with Aries is Aries does not know their own strength, right? That often when we're too energetically strong and we don't know our own strength, we accidentally put too much pressure on something and we break something or we do something of like that way. So that ability of working in the context of not feeling like one needs to show strength, but rather continually being in a space of being able to recognize and to navigate and to be able to be adaptable in relationality to not being like, you know, recognizing the nuance of circumstances, being able to adjust and accommodate. Like there's a lot of that. This is all those Gemini lessons that are coming to the surface here, because it doesn't require one to have to be in a certain modality all the time, but arriving to situations and looking at something and not saying in a situation, this is not up to my standards, but looking at something and saying, how can I make it meet my energetic standards, right? It's not a good journey. A good spiritual journey is not about revulsion. It's about activation. It's about moving something in the determination point of making something better, because that is the act of creation, right? It's like, it's not looking at something and going, ew. It's looking at something and going, oh. it's like now, for a lot of the energy right now that we're seeing, for Queen of Swords, for the energy in separation, everything I keep on identifying here is like, there's so much of this work that we're seeing. And it feels like I just keep on getting like, these are very tender relationships that are happening right now. And I got to say, there's a little bit of energetic distance here. Like a lot of these magician partnerships that I see that are forming right now, there's a bit of wariness. There's a little bit of trepidation, but this is the energy that is moving into a space of trepidation, because they're almost articulating and saying to one another, I would like to move forward with you more quickly, but experience requires me to pull back on the energetic reins. Remember the chariot partnerships that we spoke about, right? This is energy that is waiting for Saturn. They're waiting for Saturn to do its work, right? The ability to identify and feel the consistency of what they're receiving that holds out over, that stands the test of time. And this is the energy that may be in that space, because this is energy that's healing from relationships that felt off center, right? Something that feels like often those relationships where there's a lot at the beginning and then it just kind of peters off because it's not in the space it's working towards. We talked about the whim energy. And when you're working towards, when you're in like a whim relationship, it feels like it's so impossible because someone isn't focusing and prioritizing creating a consistent, healthy relationship. They're just doing what they feel. Right? And even some energy trying to articulate. I even see some energy that's trying to articulate from someone like trying to defend the idea of not being consistent by honoring their feelings, but understanding that, and we've talked about this, honoring feelings isn't just about doing whatever you feel like all the time. It's understanding what your energetic priorities are and staying energetically consistent within them. It's like honoring feelings is not devoid of responsibility. It is all about responsibility. That's the confusion point. And we're going to hear this a lot right now because I'm telling you, this is Leo and Mars. Honoring your feelings isn't just doing things it's not just about it's not just doing whatever you feel all the time or moving in and out of things how you feel like it. It's building into the fact that feelings, they're fickle. What you do with your feelings shows who you energetically are. It's the consistency of when you do something, when you don't feel like it, that's where the love is. It's working in that space. And so that's why we see that a lot of these energies right now in separation are saying, like they're building into the point of hope, but they're looking for the space of allowing Saturn to allow someone's words to match their actions, being able to see that consistency. Now, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're identifying and recognizing, this is the energy that's, I keep on hearing, and this is how it feels for both masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. For feminine, I see feminine going through a lot of this work and feeling energetically fortified. This is a lot of the feminine that is potentially feeling that moment or that modality, because I even see some feminine energy here that has seen this before. The feminine energy working in the space of not allowing the emotions to get the better of them, not reacting to the heart opening, but articulating through their fears. And in that moment that they articulate through their fears, instead of reacting to them, they find the energy, like the masculine turns to feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. And this is the masculine that says, like, you never have I seen a feminine that is strong enough to inhabit the space of being able to operate in the context of love. But this is also a lot of the feminine energy that understands and is recognizing now, and this is what's so difficult for some of that feminine, like consistency in masculine is not something that can be that is cultivated. It's something that is found. The recognition point of where one puts their energetic priority is the articulation point as it relates to someone being ready to heal. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the feminine energy, that ability of doing so, right? Their ability of not allowing anxiety or fear of another to get the better of them, not allowing that space of being reactive, but being able to be patient through it, right? Not taking it personally, understanding, like, as long as someone's not projecting it, like the ability to hold someone in that embrace. This is the feminine that is feeling that, like I keep on hearing, like feeling like the weight's lifted because they're feeling that sense or that space of being able to be in the aspect of a true nurturer. And what is the aspect of the true nurturer of feminine? Which is saying to the masculine, you're energetically safe with me, right? But this is the feminine energy that identifies that this is the masculine that's ready for that journey. Because when masculine has not healed from their wounds, right, they carry the trauma into the relationship. So for the masculine to be doing that work, this is the masculine that, again, reclaiming their emotionality, speaking through their emotions instead of reacting to them, that frees masculine from the fetters of the emotions. Because if we're in a space that we just lash out or react to how we're feeling, then we are the slaves to our own emotions, right? Those are our shackles. And that emotionality will often push the things we care about as far away from us as we can, because we haven't learned to control our emotions. And this is why I see that there may be some frustration point for masculine, especially if masculine was in those modalities where they were taught that the solution to that was just not to feel anything. That's a masculine healing going, why would you not feel something? Because when you don't feel something, you haven't gotten stronger. You haven't learned how to control it. You're working to avoid it. Inevitably, it'll come and ruin everything. So that's why the masculine is doing this work. And they're almost apologizing to feminine, potentially, because they're saying, I've got a lot of work to do here. And the feminine saying, you're qualifying something that you're actively doing. You're putting a qualifier on something that you're actively showing that you're doing. That is the energy that, again, and this brings us to the energy deep within divine union. The energy that's constantly worrying. They're not doing enough. They're constantly worrying. Is there something I could be doing better? And what is the gift of healthy relationship? Having a partner that is able to give you that egoic check, that space of saying, you're doing just fine. This is something that you could be doing better. This is something that you could be working on. That ability to recognize and identify, to celebrate those moments. Often, when we doubt ourselves on our journeys, the beauty of having a healthy counterpart when we've done the work to heal our egoic space is having a counterpart that says, hey, I know your journey just as well as you do. I'm walking with you every step of the way. I promise to love you, not by flattering you and telling you that everything's fine, because I'm walking that journey with you. I build into the context of always being ready to tell you if something needs to change, because that is the expression of care. And what are the energies saying to one another? I promise never to go easy on you on that journey, because I know the calibration point to which you hold yourself. Final card for today's read between our Queen of Swords and our Strength card in its reversal. Page of Pentacles in its reversal. So there's a lot of vulnerability here is what I'm seeing. It's I want to describe that, and I think a lot of this that we're seeing has to do with the fact that Mercury just passed by Chiron and is about to enter into Taurus. And we talked yesterday about the journey of Chiron, and it's a very beautiful story. because often we see that the journey of Chiron is the discussion of the wounded healer. So if you're not familiar with the story of Chiron, just a familiarity check, it's the story of, again, the injury, the centaur that was injured. Now, what could have the centaur done in that moment? The centaur could have been like, I just got injured. I've got a mortal wound. I'm going to make it everybody's problem, right? That's not what Chiron did. Chiron dedicated the rest of his life to understanding the nature of the wound. He never healed it. But he also spent the rest of his life healing others, because the information that he learned in the act of trying to restore the self was a gift to not only himself, but to all of those around him. And this is effectively what we do when we're on a healing journey, right? Healing on a healing journey is effectively the question of, what do you do with a wound? Are you the type of person that is wounded and says, I'm wounded, now I'm going to make it everybody else's problem, right? Or is it that space that you say, what can we do to change this? What can I do to alter this? What can I do to make sure that this is something that we work through, that we understand, that we rise above? And that's why I think that there's a lot of this work that we identify and recognize that's happening right now with Jupiter and Gemini, which has to do with identifying and recognizing that in those spaces, right, like what we identify is we can feel like the wounds we carry, we can feel devastated by them. We can feel bitter about them. We can harbor anger on them every step of the day, but it doesn't serve the self. It just creates more bitterness in the process. It's like when you're traumatized, that is something that is outside or beyond the control of the self. But how you choose to carry it is always your own journey. That's always your own choice. And so I just keep on seeing that across all of the frequencies, that ability of trying to heal, that ability of trying to recognize and identify where the work begins. This is the identification point of why this full moon in Scorpio, as long as you're in that space of not being in a point of righteousness of the self, is going to potentially feel expansive, because it's like when you recognize how much you've changed, then you build into the context of honoring that energetic journey, right? It's painful, but again, through the heart expansion, we welcome a certain type of pain. We don't look for it, but we embrace it because we understand that we feel strongly about things that are painful, because that's where our love lives, right? And if our love lives somewhere that something did not go the way that we aspire or desire, we have a lot of feelings towards it. It's not about turning them off or making them bitter, but being able to honor those spaces and recognize why something had energetic meaning. And for a lot of the energy right now in separation, that ability of saying to one another, right? And I feel like what's beautiful about this is, even here for some of these new energetic relationships that are starting, that ability of being able to look at the self and identify where the work begins. This is the energy that is seeing the focus point of someone that, again, is not problem focused, or not saying, yeah, that last relationship, it was all them, they were the worst, right? It's the energy that says, I had a part in it too. This is what I'm doing for it further. This is how I'm taking something and being able to adjust and accommodate. This is being able to take something that may have felt like it was not great and moving it into a space of productivity, and being able to identify that point, right? The pragmatism of saying, it wasn't great, but I strive to do better, right? Like that, a point of that, like that motion of working on the space of the identification. That is like, again, there's that Pluto in retrograde, which is being able to like look under the self at what one finds there in order to understand the self further. This brings us to the energy coming into divine union. A lot of the energy coming into divine union right now is in that space of, I want to get adaptability. Like this is the energy that is apologizing. I literally see energy right now apologizing for having communicated something that was difficult. And this is the energy that says you have nothing to apologize for. It's an excuse-free zone, because this is the energy that says if you went through the heart opening, if you articulated through it, right, instead of reacting to it, instead of projecting it onto another, this is the energy that says you're already in the process of healing it. And that allows for the sacred embrace, because when we feel trauma and we project it out, we create a force field around ourselves. Nobody can get near us. But that's why we see that there's a lot of this energy that's saying to one another, you're safe because you're here now, the sanctuary of the partnership that allows things to begin to heal. While for masculine and feminine, deep within divine union, I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy deep within divine union right now, this is working into the space of patience with the self. And it's not always easy, is what I'm seeing. It's working through frustration. It's working through hard feelings. It's working through doubts and fears. And this is what we do in healthy partnership, right? Like I keep on getting like, a healthy relationship is not one that you have to pretend that everything's fine all the time. It's a space that you can express, like you can express your fears. And that is the beauty of being in the healthy partnership, because that ability of articulating upon your fears and then having a counterpart that immediately brings you to a calibration point, right? In terms of what you're worried about versus what is occurring. Like I just keep on seeing that this is the energy that says, I give you that promise that I will never say something just to pad your ego, right? Because never is it worse than when we're in relationships where our egos are so fragile, then all we can do is have someone that pads them. Because this is the energy that says to one another, I will always do that hard work for you. Because the sacred breath of union is such that that progress is met, like that patience is met with progress. And that's not a situation or circumstance where I'm trying to appease you, ever. No appeasing. Always building into how to build into a space of being stronger. Bottom of the deck on this reading, especially there it is. There's that Four of Swords in its upright, because I just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy right now, this is why you get trapped in an unhealed ego. This is why an unhealed ego is a prison. Because when you have an unhealed ego, you're in a force field. When you have such a space of feeling like you're energetically fragile, no one comes near you. And that ability of walking around someone or building into the context of trying to energetically avoid someone because they're not ready to do some kind of energetic work often creates that energy that feels like they're righteous because they're like, it's great, everyone agrees with me. But it's not great. It's not that everyone agrees. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid all the time. Everybody's afraid, and they're just giving you, they're appeasing you, right? And this is why I see that a lot of the energy right now across the frequencies looks at one another and says, always kind, even if not nice, because the healthy relationship is one that we work to be able to take those notes, right? It's the work that we do on ourselves that allows for healthy partnership, because we create that space where we're not projecting and we're not being energetically volatile. When another person gives us a note, it allows us the ability to expand and to build further. And so that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of that energy, understanding that calibration point. Like this is why I keep on seeing that the energy, like across the frequencies, is always checking their ego, because this is the space of working through. And a good way, and the good way to identify this is always the space that we talked about, that when we're holding on to something that is important, the question that we ask ourselves is the reason that we're holding on to it because it helps us see ourselves clearer, right? And that's usually the reason of being able to identify something that is sacred and important, right? The higher self that says, sit down, I'd be very happy to walk you through why this is important to me, versus the ego that likes to get protective over things. Right? Like there's a lot of that, like, why? Because I want to, right? It's like it's working in the space of the desire that doesn't really make any sense, right? So our ability of working through and having those conversations with the self, it's the peace that we make that is never found, because we're constantly feeling the turbulence within, and we're investigating it to understand what we can do to move in accordance to it. And that doesn't mean that it's just doing something that feels like it's easy all the time. Usually when you're doing that, it feels like it's hard because it's supposed to be hard, because that's the energy that identifies like the strength that we have, that allows us to move into that space rather than feeling like we're just looking for the path of least resistance. That is where we find all of the energy prior to beginning today's daily collective read. I mean, that is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, You can book one on my site. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our recent class on the Hanged Man. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, May 14th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Death card. It's not that scary, I promise. We're going to talk a bit about the history of the card, the symbology. I'm going to work you through spread applications, how to read through it in any direction. It may appear in your own readings. I'm also going to be offering you a unique spread to help you channel the messages of the Death card into your own readings. And all you need to do, if you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, is become a subscriber to my Substack. Your paid subscription to my Substack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you as much information about what we studied previously as I can prior to beginning the next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You will also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions you may have in relation to anything we are studying or have studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you will also have full access to the entirety of the Tarot Church Library Archive. That is access to over 9 hours worth of material, 13 hours worth of material, in an ever-expanding library. You'll also have access to the ability to receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally and assess where you are on your tarot journey to give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best advantage towards your personal tarot goals. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's absolutely something there for everyone. Don't let your robust experience or your lack of experience prevent you from joining in those classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule. I also would like to let you guys, I also post my mystic meditation articles there, which will give you an update on what we've been seeing energetically in the cards in article form. I am also very happy to offer dream interpretation readings now on top of my other readings. You can purchase these on an individual level or as a series. If you purchase the Dream Interpretation Series package, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I'm also very happy to offer for those students who are seeking a more personalized educational experience with me, mentorship classes. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. These are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each person's journey. I'm also very happy to offer for those who are looking for tarot on a budget, weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey at a discount. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow.